Hey, Soul Survivors. I'm doing a viewer topic request in response to the evicted or homeless narcissist. And this one viewer had said that they thought that was really accurate what I said about them wanting the chaos. Also says that I am a narcissist and am going down the road of homelessness, eventually help. So I had thanked him for his honesty and I asked him what the situation is that caused the homelessness. Was it a breakup, loss of job, addiction, etc.? I said I do my best to help. And he responded, "Thank you for reaching out. I am future fearing a lot with the homelessness statement. So they can recognize they are afraid of what is going to happen in the future. But it is due to my narcissism that I have been lazy at work. I have never been satisfied with my partners, despite them loving me, and in some cases, me loving them. But there is a point where I do they are sick. I don't like that. It's their fault. Or I rationalize breaking up in some way. I currently have a housemate, but we have broken up after a short relationship. She is waiting for a place to go. I have been an a-hole to her. I am addicted to having psychiatric meds and being in treatment. And I have had therapy for 20 years and still have a very vulnerable ego. Heaps of my friends say I'm not like that, but behind closed doors, I am. So it continues on. So here you can see short-term relationships, how they flip the script, blame the other person, how they can have loving relationships, but still want out. And he's afraid of what the future is going to bring. And he does realize he's being lazy at work. He's not upholding his responsibilities. So I told him I'd do an in-depth reply when I had some time. So asked him a couple questions, but he goes, I think I mean that it has become my identity, that I'm sick and need to be fixed. I probably do need therapy, but only to the extent that it makes me feel special. Now, a lot of narcissists, that's what they need. They need to feel special. So he's to the point where it's like, I'm willing to go to therapy, but only so you can tell me that I'm special. He goes, I'm not sure if my body is addicted to the meds or not. I have been on SSRIs for 25 years, but they aren't addictive per se, because I had asked him a little bit about is he psychologically or physically addicted to the medication. Now, narcissism, any type of medication is not available. The only thing that they do have is to deal with like the depression or anxiety. So that's what the SSRIs are for. And he's been in therapy for like 20 years or so, 25 years. And told him I make a special video for him, which I'll do for you guys too if you're struggling with something. And he goes, I do definitely feel like a covert narcissist because I do put myself down to get sympathy. I want to stop doing that. So over time, they can decide enough is enough. This isn't working. But I wanted to address a couple things. So the homelessness, a lot of times they can become homeless because they stir things up. They do love that chaos. When things are comfortable, they're not. And it is a cycle that they go through where it is like they're trying to come of age as uh kind of like an analogy, just like a teenager. They go through their little temper tantrums, they want things their way, they know better than everybody else, and then they go off and lead their adult lives. But there's usually an awakening. Now, I'm a high school teacher, and it's really interesting to see the change from a senior to a college student. It's only a summer in between. It's almost like they grow up. They know things are changing. So when somebody is narcissistic, they have like a emotional, they can be extremely intelligent, but their emotional maturity is that of a 2-year-old up to like teenage, and they don't have that empathy. It didn't develop. The human brain doesn't stop developing till the age of 26 anyways, but they a lot of times have addictive personalities. And so as far as fearing for the future, um, when we take hold of that. The fear is trying to tell you something. The fear is probably telling you something needs to be planned, something needs to be handled. So, when you get into these relationships where you are living with someone, whether you're reliant on them paying half the rent, that you have to understand who you are and live within your means. Are you going to leave this person? Are you really committed? And if you're throwing fits or putting people down or overwhelming them or playing the pity party, that people aren't going to stick around. So even if it's a buddy instead of a love interest, you're going to chase people away. So recognizing that you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable and you're scared to get hurt, but you're holding that within. And when you can express it to the right people will be there for you. And we also have to understand and have empathy for other people. What are we doing? Are we destroying their lives? Are we taking advantage of them? And when things are done the right way, you will have a more secure and safe future. When you recognize I'm being lazy at work and then decide, why am I lazy at work? Am I overwhelmed? Am I too tired? Am I hungover? What are the things in my life? Am I distracted? And there's ways to cope with that so you can be more productive at work. So hopefully your job is important to you. If you don't like your job, it is okay to switch jobs. Do it the smart way. The job market is not that good right now. So be aware of that if you screw up this job, you could definitely be homeless and not even have money for a hotel, or gas in your car to keep it warm over the winter. Some people sleep in their cars for a little bit. So recognizing who you are, what you need to work on is great. The thing is, though, being in counseling for 20, 25 years, like you said, it's part of your identity that this is who I am. Is this who you want to be? There are certain things that we can change. And, do you need to get extra education, or do you need a different group of friends? Do you have the right kind of support in your life? Understanding what your triggers are. So when you go to counseling, it feels good sometimes to talk about yourself or to play the victim. This person screwed me over. This person doesn't understand me, and have your feelings validated. That can feel really good. And you might not be getting that from the people in your life. So you notice that you put yourself down. That a lot of times is a coping mechanism. And that's where the self-love comes in. Like, I'm 6'1". I don't necessarily like being tall. So, you can make fun of yourself, call yourself the Jolly Green Giant, or little things like that. There are times that people do make fun of themselves, but it is a coping mechanism. And if you can embrace who you are, recognize what you can't change, if there are certain things that you don't like about yourself, take the time to change it. And it does take effort. There are certain things that we can change, whether it's our physique or our hair or our clothes. If you don't like what you wear, you can go to a resale shop. It doesn't always have to be expensive, or even just accessories. But recognizing that this isn't working is a sign that something needs to be changed. And when you have empathy or give to other people, it usually comes back to you. Have your boundaries, don't be used, but if you can share some of the things that like trigger you. Is it that somebody isn't stroking your ego? And we have to recognize people aren't are going to thank us, but they're not always going to stroke our egos over and above. And we have to realize other people's limitations. So being afraid of homelessness, when we can be self-sufficient, where we don't need somebody else, where you can get, whether it's a trailer, mobile home, apartment or a reasonably priced house, that you live within your means. So if anything happens, because even if you got married, the person might pass away or something. So we should always be able to handle ourselves. And I'd like to help you. I don't know enough about your situation, but I find it interesting that, 20 years of therapy, are you putting into work what you were suggested to do? Are you being honest with your therapist? Because if you're not being honest, if you're only there for the ego stroke or to talk, but if you're not being honest, they can't address the problems. They're not going to give you the right kind of information. They're going to give you information on a different situation. So I appreciate your honesty with me. I would like to continue helping you, but we have to put those suggestions into play to get rid of the anxiety and the depression. Medication isn't always going to take it away. There are ways to deal with it. And when you rely on the medication, um, it doesn't push you as much into the healing. It's kind of like a Band-Aid, kind of getting you through. Now, there are times you want to get through because it's too overwhelming, but there needs to come a point where you realize this isn't working. And putting ourselves down. If we can put our own selves down, what's going to stop other people from doing it? It's almost like giving them permission. If I went around going, I'm such a fatty, and they're like, hey, fat ass, come over here. They don't realize that that hurts my feelings because I hurt my own feelings. I laugh it off. So don't laugh it off. Love yourself and realize every time you do that, it's because you're hurting about something. And don't give other people permission to do that. Instead, stand up for yourself, be your own best friend, and tell them, don't talk to me that way. I don't appreciate it. And it starts with that self-love. And I see that you want to change. And if the desire is strong enough, you will change. It takes time. It might feel awkward for a while, but never give up on yourself. So if you would like to discuss this further, please comment below. If you guys want to help support him and even share your stories on what it is you wish the narcissist did different, how they would have possibly listened or understood or saw things two ways and not get so defensive, to be more open to communication. I'd like to open up the conversation about that. It'll give him some insight into what we're thinking. We can also utilize his information to understand what they're going through. Thank you so much for your honesty and vulnerability. That's a step in the right direction. And it's not too late, but you recognize that you're being lazy at work. Change it before it's too late. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.